Hey folks, this is BestInSlot. Welcome back to our Mods of the Week Spotlight series for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Should be a pretty quick video today. We're only going to look at 5 new species or some variants and stuff like that, but some really exciting stuff. Before we dig into that, as per usual, a quick disclaimer: mods can possibly break your game, break your save files in particular, especially when the game updates. Expecting that in, I'm going to say a month. I'm going to say first or second week of March, maybe. We'll see what happens with the Frontier Unlocked at the end of the month. But either way, it's on its way, so just be aware that if you mod things, you may have problems, especially when the game updates. Because for all you know, George, you can see wandering around, having the time of his life, may come to haunt you. If you haven't seen the video on this, check out last week's Mods of the Week Spotlight series. Oh, he's reverted around the log. George is very intelligent. No, he's didn't. George. There he goes. So, let's check out today's mods. George, I'm going to need you to get out of the way. Now, this one hasn't quite worked. The text isn't there for some reason. Not sure why, but this is Staurikosaurus by Hawkal1215. I'm assuming that was because they're little tiny dudes. So here we go. Beautiful looking creature. Staurikosaurus, a Brazilian Triassic Herrerasaurid, one of the earliest known dinosaurs. You know, if you ever hear of Triassic dinosaurs in general, but Herrerasaurs as well. Discovered in the 30s, but not described until 1970. I think it was 36. So it took 34 years for this thing to go from, hey, we've got all these dinosaur bones, maybe we should look at them. Who knows how many dinosaurs are still waiting to be described out there. Now, as an early dinosaur, Stauriko relied more on its speed and agility to survive more than anything else. It was carnivorous. It had these teeth that curved backwards, which is very typical of a carnivore, because it means when you bite onto something, you know, the teeth naturally dig in and it's harder for your prey to wrestle away. But back then, dinosaurs were a lot less dominant, of course. Dinosaurs were burgeoning as a group. So it would have had to compete with some pretty terrifying things. Apex predators like, I butcher this every time, Raui-sucus, Raus. How do you pronounce it? R-A-U-I-sucus. R-A-U-I is such an awkward combination of letters. Raui. Anyways, Raui-sucus, which was a Rausukin. So, yeah, it would have had to be quick and nimble and hunt small prey and stuff like that more than anything else, and try to survive as the dinosaurs kept developing. This is a really cool mod by Hawkal. Really cool to see more Triassic dinosaurs, first of all. This one, I think, really shows off. Hawkal's come a long way in their texturing and stuff like this. This is beautiful. I really like the stripes cutting in there. Really like this dappled sort of pattern we've got going down here at the back. And the dinosaur itself has got really interesting textures. You can see at the back here we've got these thicker sort of scales, and then around the head, especially around the eyes, so the eyebrow crest there, we've got this really interesting detail. It's very, very textured and really has a milieu of colours. It looks really good, and you know, they all look very varied from each other. This lovely monochrome sort of variant over here without the pattern, they still look pretty cool, although it has got the pattern. It's just quite a plain one in there. Yeah, really, really nice. You know, if you want to go a little wild with your colours, you can do that. So hopefully the name gets fixed. But other than that, a really cool start today with a new Triassic dinosaur, something I'm always happy to see. And Hawkal did not stop there. Our second new species of today is Segnosaurus by, once again, Hawkal1215. So, Segnosaurus, here we go. What a bizarre looking creature. This is, of course, a Therizinosaurus from Cretaceous Mongolia. And it had, as you'll be able to see, actually, like other Therizinosaurs, if you come down here, you'll see it's got 4 toes, which is actually unique amongst Therizinosaurs, in that other theropods, every other theropod we've found has 3 toes, but Therizinosaurs, for some reason, have 4 instead. I didn't find out why. I wonder if there's any speculation as to why that's the case. Now, a lot of therizinosaurs lived at the same formation where Segnosaurus was discovered, the Bayan Shire formation in Mongolia. So along with Segnosaurus, there was Albertosaurus, Enigmosaurus, and possibly a fourth therizinosaur in the same area. And so the therizinosaurs in this area had to evolve to differentiate themselves so they wouldn't compete for food. It's very difficult to have 4 dinosaurs from the same group like that if you're all competing for the same food source, you know, for fairly logical reasons. So they evolved to differentiate themselves and look for different food within the same niche, and this is called niche partitioning. Now, the way that Segnosaurus did this is that its teeth, although we're not going to see them here, were very well built for oral processing, much like my own. And what that means is that it would have chewed its food more and relied less on its gut for digestion. You know, one of the things we always know about Therizinosaurus is they've got these big, low-hanging bellies at the front. And we think for a lot of therizinosaurs, it would have been, you know, like a modern-day cows or your modern-day large ungulates, where they basically just swallow the food. You maybe chew it up a little bit, but you let your large stomach or your several stomachs do most of the digestion work, whereas like humans, for example, we chew a lot more, and more of the digestion happens during mastication, right? I just wanted to throw the word mastication in there, quite frankly. It seems that, based on what we've seen so far, Segnosaurus may have been similar. A lot of that processing happened orally rather than in the digestive tract. Obviously, some happens, but anyways, this is really, really cool. First of all, just really cool to get a new therizinosaur. It does feel demonstrably different from Therizinosaurus in a few different ways. This one I think is awesome. I really like their patterning work here with this striping, which they've, you know, split the colour between the sort of the light and the dark. It's really dramatic looking and looks fantastic on this skin. You can see that the claws of the Segnosaurus, I would suggest, are quite a lot shorter than that of the Therizinosaurus. They're still huge and intimidating, but not quite as huge and intimidating. And the head shape is pretty bizarre. We've got a very prominent beak there, as you can see, but the head shape is more elongated and skinnier and more in tune with what a therizinosaur likely would have actually looked like. The one in Jurassic World has been Jurassic Worldified a little bit, to say the least. Got that lovely low-hanging sort of tail droopy fan bit at the back there, and really, really nice skin colours. You can go a bit crazy again, or really naturalistic looking, really beautiful stuff. Lovely feathering as well. Big shout out to Hawk Owl, really brought their game. 2 fantastic dinosaurs this week. Good job, Hawk Owl. Good job. Always makes me think of Ham Hock every time I read the name. Now I want some Ham Hock. Right, moving on. Our next creature is, we're going to go Albertosaurus next because that's where I did my list. This is a new Albertosaurus cosmetic from Mastadoot. So there we go, Albertosaurus. We're not going to talk too much about Albertosaurus because, of course, we already have it in the game. We talked about it before. But the idea behind this one was basically to take the Albertosaurus, and like I said, this is a cosmetic. You don't lose anything. This is just a body morph, essentially. And the idea was to take the Albertosaurus and just make it more appropriate for a Jurassic Park 1990 style park. You know, more of that original park aesthetic rather than the world's aesthetic. The Albertosaurus we have in the game is fine, but it does stick out quite a lot compared to the original InGen dinosaurs. And Mastadoot said on their page they were going through a 90s park, and the Albertosaurus just didn't quite fit in there, so they wanted to have one that fit more thematically and aesthetically with those original 90s dinosaurs. And I think they've done a really... Oh yeah, I've got one in my pocket. There you go, comparison. This one's a bit too clean. I mean, I've always had issues with the rubbery skin of the Frontier Albertosaurus, but that is a fine design. It just doesn't fit the franchise, the older franchise as well. So this has that slightly Jurassic Park quality. Now, Mastadoot, like Hawk Owl, has also blessed us with 2 new species this week. Well, 1 new species in their thingy. So, next we're going to check out Siamosaurus. I don't remember if we checked this one out before. Now, they mentioned on the mod page that people were having problems with it. I think I may have been one of those people. So I don't think we ever highlighted it on our channel. They brought it back out anyway. We're going to talk about it. Let's check it out. If I can click the button. I did it. I'm so talented. Get out of the way. What an absolute beauty. Stunning looking dinosaur. I was so excited when I saw this for the first time. Color, it's just, what a stunner. Seriously. Let's talk about Siamosaurus. A Spinosaurid from early Cretaceous China and Thailand, the first Asian Spinosaurid ever discovered. And it is a tooth taxon, my beloved, a tooth taxon. There is a partial skeleton currently being examined, which may also belong to Siamosaurus, but it hasn't been fully described yet, so we don't know at this point in time. Now, the teeth of Siamosaurus, based on microstructures in the enamel, would have functioned similarly to those of modern long-snouted crocodiles. They went under the similar mechanical strain, basically. And these long-snouted crocodilians were conspicuous by their absence from the same dig sites that Siamosaurus was found in. There were, however, short-snouted crocodilians present, and they've got much more varied diets. So what we've seen here is that rather than having short and long-snouted crocodilians coexisting, Siamosaurus has basically dominated one of those niches, and only the short-snouted crocodilians have been able to thrive and survive and live in those areas. So it's kind of the inverse, in a way, of what we saw with the Therizinosaurus. It's interesting. And you can see how Siamo would come in and dominate that area. This is, I do not remember if I've ever hatched this in game. Feel free to let me know. It is a stunner though, isn't it? Really beautiful work. Just, I mean, the model is obviously fantastic. I love the head shape and how that's been designed. The patterning is quite subtle, but very, very striking as well. We've got these really bright, strong colours. We've got bright red eyes sticking out amongst the black there. Under the crest. Absolutely beautiful. Just so bright in colour, but still feels perfectly legitimate. They've all decided they hate me, and they're going to hide in the trees. So I'm just gonna kill the tree line, unfortunately. I only put it in there to make the video look prettier, but yeah, really good. Even the more subtle ones like this, you know, less bright on the coloration. Like that one as well, just these little pockets of bursting colour there along the sail, which you can see is obviously less dramatic than it is on, say, the Spinosaurus. It's lower to the body, it's a lot shorter, the vertebra, but yeah, really fantastic looking Spinosaurid. And always happy to see new Spinosaurids, new Spinosaurids in the game, especially our very first Asian Spinosaurid. Speaking of Spinosaurids, we've got this massive lass over here, that big thick tail, just like myself, and we've got this Jurassic Park 3 skin, which admittedly was accidental. Now, this is part of Liv's Paleo Overhaul. We highlighted one of those videos last week, one of those mods last week. It was fantastic stuff. I'm not here to show you this mod in particular, but this is part of their large theropods mod. I'll link it down below. They've done paleo accurate versions of all the large theropods in the game, and you know, as you can see, it's pretty spectacular stuff. Spinosaurus looking utterly bizarre, as you would expect. So shout out to Liv, i.e. Rinrobi, for this. The reason I'm showing you this though is because Darky has brought out taken that model with Rinrobi's permission and made a aquatic version. So we're going to release this top one, I think. I've made a Jurassic Park 3 version and I've made a regular skin version. Let's check it out. So this is on the most. Doesn't that look fantastic with the kelp and the rocks from the other mods in the background? It looks really good. This is on the Mosasaurus rig, so the model and the textures, etc., are by Liv, and it's been rigged and coded to be aquatic by Darky. Very much a collab going on there, and it looks really, really good. The dream, of course, is that one day we could have your transition from here to here. You know, that is definitely a dream of mine. You know, but it still looks really, really good like this, and we know Spino would have spent a lot of time in water hunting just like this. Cover your exhibit with kelp, cover it in aquatic decorations, and have your Spinosaurids swim around mercilessly hunting. The massive paddle tail swooping side to side as it hunts. Got this little tick on it, which is really interesting. I don't think I've seen that rendered before. Very, very cool. Now, what we can also do, I'm going to release another one because, as I say, that's the special Jurassic Park 3 skin. But as you can see from the preview, we do have a more general Rinrobi design skin. So just did a random one for this one, didn't pick anything out in particular, but as you can see, we've got a really evocative, strong pattern here. This little striping, we've got these spots going along the sail, and then that burst of white there on the head. I think it actually might prefer it to the JP3 one, which, you know... Oh, are we social animationing? We are. Kind of worked. Hello. Yeah, it looks really good. And, you know, that sail popping above the water like that, really cool. Some really lovely colour combinations for this thing as well that you can definitely go check out on the mod page. But, yeah, shout out to both Darky and Liv for this because, you know, we've had a few swimming Spinos in the past. This isn't a particularly unique thing for this game. You know, we've had it a few times now, but I think it's always worth seeing. And I think this is one of the better ones we've ever seen with that Mosasaurus rig and with the paleo accurate model being brought into the game. And it's really cool that we can have both the aquatic and the land version. You know, look at them there together. They look, if you just hide this little bit here, they would look like they're living together. And one just happens to be hunting in the water, which is always a very cool thing. Now, that took much longer than expected for only 5 mods, but I do like to talk, so we are going to end it there. Thank you so much for joining me. Go give the mod makers all the love in the world. I will link all of these, of course, on the mod spotlight page, the document linked in the description. Go tell the mod makers that you like their hat, because they deserve it, because they're cool people. And thank you to Hokal, Master Doot, Rinrobi, and Darky for making these in the first place. If you enjoyed the video, throw me a like, and I will see you lovely folks very, very soon. Thanks for joining me. Cheers, much love, as always. Bye-bye.